Talking about acting is like dancing about architecture. It, you can do it all day, and it's really pretentious.
Here's what I don't get. If women don't want to be defined by their bodies, why are they always using them to get what they want?
Maybe they aren't. Maybe men are just too easily distracted.
Speaking of the Waterfords, you really mucked up that house, didn't you? And Fred demoted, Serena defingered, baby napped. You left the place literally in ashes. Do you think they got what they deserved?
No one in Gilead gets what they deserve, sir.
I want to talk about the last Emmy you won, because that was unusual. You for The Handmaid's Tale, right after you joined the series, it was I guess what they call the penultimate episode of season 2. The series wasn't qualified that year, but you were.
Honestly, I think it was. I mean, I'll absolutely take it. I did take it. but I like, it was a little unfair because the show is so powerful. Initially, I came in as a guest actor, but then I became a regular. So while I'm nominated as a guest actor, all these wonderful episodes and the character development of this fascinating guy is sort of playing out. So I think I had a little bit of an advantage just because of those dates. But again, I'll take it.
This is such an interesting character you're playing now on this series. I mean, Commander Joseph Lawrence is I would say he's a very complicated character.
It's the most fascinating character I've ever gotten to play. And there's no static character there. He is a guy who, to me, is constantly in play, and that's fascinating. My idea for him, did you ever see Fog of War?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
He's there, here's a guy, McNamara, whose huge brain obliterates his humanity. He's aware of what he's done, and his humanity is fighting back.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see you playing opposite Elizabeth Moss. She's extraordinary, and I recently interviewed her for this series too, and she said it was also weird because I'm directing Bradley Whitford, and I have this history, going back to West Wing and everything. You said somewhere I saw that she's the most interesting actor you've ever worked with. Is that true? That's a big statement because you've worked with many, many different actors.
Well, interesting, was that the word?
One of those, something like that. But
well, I find her completely fascinating. She's the least pretentious performer I've ever seen, and when you lock eyes with her, you don't know where it's going to go.
When you look at the different kind of projects you want to do, Perfect Harmony, when you talk about dark stuff, that had a very dark underpinning. That for a half-hour comedy on NBC, came from a very dark place. And a lot of Get Out, a lot of different things are tricky. They use humor, but they also go into places that a lot of things like that wouldn't.
When you get to layer it and sort of invite, complexity into it, that's when it gets really fun. And yeah, Perfect Harmony is very, very, very dark guy. It was so funny because the hardest thing about that, we do a pilot of a comedy that begins with a guy who's committing suicide.
Yeah.
I like trying to find that weird tone.
Characters you play, like Arthur Parsons in The Post and in The Last Full Measure, Carlton, interesting guys because they're not exactly sympathetic, but you're not playing them as a villain.
You're serving the hero in the movie, and it's not helpful for Meryl Streep's character in The Post if Parsons is completely totally dismissible. It diminishes her heroicism if he is a one-dimensional villain.
I saw somebody the other day, they said, what are you doing during the quarantine? What are you doing during this time? What are you watching? And they said The West Wing. And they, The West Wing is very available, and people are, believe it or not, who never saw it the first time, are now discovering it. Do you find that? Do people stop you and say, hey, I love Josh?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. People come up to me, and they know the names. I don't know the names of any of those. A couple of them, names of the episodes. There's people who've memorized the show. There's podcasts about it. I think it would have been intimidating if we had known that was going to happen. But yeah, it's found a whole new audience, and it is, in this particular political climate, reassuring progressive porn. The shock early on was that we would be taken seriously at all. At least I was shocked. You're just trying to get away with sort of pulling it off.
Before we go, how did you get into acting? How did you start? Were you always going to be in this profession?
From the time I did an anti-smoking skit in 6th grade, I was in as many plays as I could possibly be in. In Wisconsin, you don't know anybody who's an actor. I would never say out loud or to myself that I wanted to be an actor. I went to college. I studied English Lit, and then ended up majoring in theater. And still, then I would not say, "Yeah, I want to be an actor." And I applied to graduate school, and when I got into Juilliard, I remember distinctly, because it was just in vain and embarrassing to say you wanted to be an actor. I'm still working on that one with the shrink. I remember opening up this letter, which was very exciting because I got into Juilliard and just realizing, oh God, I guess you're going to try to be an actor. So it was not me as a young, ambitious kid, knowing that I wanted to do it professionally, but God, I just loved it. I couldn't get enough. It's very interesting. During this time, I actually wrote to Lizzie, and I was just saying, I don't think I've taken my opportunities as an actor for granted. I feel really, really grateful, but wow, it is really intense to have that joy sort of, taken away. Obviously, it's not the life and death issue or an economically devastating one, but man, this just makes you realize how incredibly lucky we are to be actors. And God, I cannot wait to get back.